Welcome to Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 22nd, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas. This is segment 2 of 5, but also the second segment in our preview of the Colts and the Jets. In the first segment, Vegas runner, and we got off on a nice conversation. You had an official free pick.
On the total.
On the total over 39.5.
Yes, sir.
Now, do we want to play that now, or do we want to play that later?
I think it has an opportunity to come down a little bit lower because the perception of these defenses...
Come to game day?
Just last week, you guys doubted me with the other one, and that one also went down, like I told you. The perception here is all defense, that neither of these teams are scoring much, and Indianapolis is supposed to be having trouble going against this Jet defense. If San Diego wasn't able to score on them, Jets have allowed an average of 9 points a game over the last 8 games.
Okay, all right. So you're saying that the typical play is you play, especially in a public game, and remember, these championship games have a lot of public action. The typical play is you go over early, under late, because the public gets involved on game day and bets it up. You're saying even with Peyton Manning, you're not so sure in this case.
Yeah, I'm really not, RJ. I would not be surprised if this, I mean, it's not going to drop down to 38, but I don't think it'll get back to above the 40 range.
Okay, and with your official free picks, you give one a week. You've been a little cold just recently.
last 3 weeks.
But what's your long-term record here? We got it for him?
It's 11-5-1.
All right, so still right here for free each week, 11-5-1. Okay, and when we get to the Saints, we can talk about your future bet on the Saints. All right, so Marco, I'm going to make an official free pick in this second segment here on the Jets Colts. Now, I'm looking at this. In fact, maybe I'll just make my pick and then I'll get your feedback on it. I talked maybe, 6-8 weeks ago here about the fact that if you're going to bet against the Colts, it's better to bet the first half. Because my thinking is, however good Peyton Manning is in general, he's better late in the game. So if you can find a way without any cost to you, it's not like you have to lay 120 or some extreme amount to play first half. You can play first half if you have an online book or if you're here in Vegas, just as easy as anything else with no consequence. And by the way, if you're not, if you aren't set up online, check out pregameaction.com. They have the best deals from the trusted books, which give you a lot of different options. So my thinking here is, the wise guys seem to like the Jets, and I think it's hard to say the value isn't on the Jets. That's my first thought, especially now it's gone over a touchdown. And I also think that you can get 3.5 on the first half, so it's above that key number. That's what's interesting. Sometimes you can have a line that's 7 and still get over 3, which is great because they're saying somehow they're not willing to push that thing above a touchdown on the game, but you can actually get above the key number of 3 on the half. Here, it's not quite as sweet because we are getting a touchdown in the game. But there's a second reason I like the Jets, let's call it plus 3.5. Exactly the point you made in the first segment, which is if the Jets get out of their element, out of their close game, running, low-risk game, now you've got a rookie quarterback on the road in a huge game. There's a great opportunity for scoring, which is one of the reasons you like the over. Either they're going to score, throw and score or throw an interception, but also likelihood that the Jets are at a disadvantage if the game ends up getting out of their comfort zone. The odds are that if it's going to get out of their comfort zone, it's going to be later, not earlier. I think the Jets could potentially take 9 minutes off the clock on the first drive.
Yeah, that's what they're going to try to do, and I agree with you because what they did last week against San Diego, in the first half, San Diego shut that running game down. They didn't average more than 3 yards a carry, and they're the #1 rushing team in the NFL. But they came out in the second half and didn't abandon it. They believe
the score was within 7.
Exactly. And what they're saying is we believe that we're so much more physical than any other team. Our offensive line is so dominant. Eventually, we're going to wear the other team down. So far, they've been able to do that because it hasn't gotten away from them.
Exactly. And the odds of it getting away from them in the first half is less.
They're playing old school Steeler football right now is what they're doing. You know, and you hit the nail on the head. They didn't abandon it, and the Steelers' philosophy back in the days of Jerome Bettis was they wore you down in that fourth quarter. You don't want to wrap that guy up when you're trying to tackle him for the 30th time.
Now, this line it's given them respect because historically dogs haven't done good. Road dogs in this championship round that have gone back to back. I mean, they're like 3-10 straight up when they've had to go off 2 straight road games.
So let's talk about that. So you're saying if you make the championship and you have 2 straight road games,
they're 3-10 straight up and 4-9 against the spread.
Now the Steelers in 2005 would have been one of those winners.
Right. They got there.
It's always been an old school NFL theory about 3 times on the road. Period.
Right.
Well, so here's the thing: if it's hard to think the Colts are where the value is. If you like the Jets, what's the 2 things that scare you? To me, as a handicapper, it's Peyton Manning late in the game, and it's the Jets getting out of their comfort zone. I think both of those are, well, one isn't applicable in the first half, which is Peyton Manning late in the game, out of the comfort zone. Even if they get down even 14, I think, or 10, let's say, I think that the Jets are going to stay in the game.
I agree 100%.
A late touchdown, it ends up being 10-7 at the half. I think that the value is more on the first half with the Jets. Marco, what's your thoughts?
I agree with you that they have a better chance of staying in the game in the first half, no question. I think.
Well, but by definition, you're getting half as many points. So the question is there going to be a typical normal distribution, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? If so, there's no advantage of the first or the second half. I just think this, as we said, this team has advantages in the first half they might not have in the second half.
Especially if they get the ball first and they're able to do what you say and get one of those long drives that chew up clock, keep Peyton Manning on the sidelines. One thing I'm going to point out about this game, and it's the exact opposite in the next game, is public perception from watching last week's games. If you look at the 2 AFC winners, really, with clear eyes, Baltimore had a 4-to-1 ratio in turnovers. The one turnover that they did have actually resulted back in a turnover for them.
They even fumbled 3 times.
Baltimore intercepted, ran it deep, and the guy got stripped from behind. So huge edge for the Colts. They got every break last week. The ball bounced their way.
I mean, if they replayed that game and Indy was laying 6, are you betting Indy?
I would still bet Indy, but when you watch
it was a more extreme result.
It was a more extreme result.
Okay, fair enough.
You look at the Jets, let's not forget the San Diego Chargers. The field goal kicker had made 69 field goals in a row inside of 40 yards going into last week. He missed 3 field goals.
Yeah, but
that's 9 points.
I know, but what you're missing is they shouldn't have been in that position. They're in that position because they couldn't score in the red zone, and that's a compliment to this Jets D. This Jets D's for real. 8 of those touchdowns they gave up were on kick returns, punt returns. If you subtract that and you look at their numbers, their raw numbers without those 8 returns, they're comparable to the 85 Bears and the Ravens of 2000, 2001. I mean, this is a good defense. This is the real deal.
And the reason I jumped on Marco a little bit was I think it's about time that we stop. I've never seen a team like the Colts get less credit. Yeah. I mean, this team literally could have gone. They could be 17. Well, what would it be? 17-0 right now. I mean, it's hard to imagine they wouldn't have beat the Jets. Hard to imagine that they wouldn't have beat the Bills. I mean, this team could be, talking history. The fact that
you're right, and on a neutral field, they're saying when they opened it, they're only 4 points better, and it's a different surface.
I mean, they dismantle Baltimore, but somehow it's like, there was a turnover or 2. It was 20-3. Who knows what the Colts could have put up if they wanted to keep scoring. I think. As much as I think the value's on the Jets in the first half, I also think the Colts are slightly underrated, which makes me think for the game I pause on taking the 7.5. All right, so real quick, official free pick on the under.
Over.
Oh, the over. Official free. I was trying to move the line. Official free pick on the Jets in the first half. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking the NFC Championship game. And remember, we got a new feature. You can actually predict the score in the comment section of YouTube. And if you get it exactly right, we give you $50 at pregame.com to spend any way you want. And remember, you can get all of our videos at pregame.tv. Or if you want to download and listen, just go to iTunes, search for pregame.com.